It's now over 1,000 days since Vladimir Putin launched what he called the special military operation in Ukraine, which means that the Russian economy has been under ever stricter sanctions for 2.5 years now. And I've been here in Russia for more than 7 years. And over that time, I've been asked by many people about famous British brands and famous British goods, asking me if they're available in Russia, if I miss them, if I can get them, or if I pay over the odds to find them. And those questions have only increased since the start of the war, especially with so many British companies officially pulling out of the country. So in this video, I'm going to go around Moscow and try to find some of Britain's most iconic brands and probably even buy a few. I've got 11 different brands or items on my list, and I hope I can find all of them. So I'm going to put them here on the side of the video. You can see them listed here. I've tried to go for a range of products and brands. Lots of them I would regularly get in the UK. Others are, of course, way out of my price range, but I thought it makes sense to include them so we get a wide range of British brands. So I've gone for Whisper, the chocolate bar, Ariel, Bell's Whiskey, Yorkshire Tea, Newcastle Brown Ale, McVitie's Digestive Biscuits, Iron Brew, Coleman's Mustard, Durex, Alexander McQueen, and finally the most expensive of the lot, Bentley. So first off, I'm going to head to a supermarket and see what of those 11 I can find. Let's go. So my first stop on today's trip is Ashan, a normal supermarket here in Moscow. It's not particularly upmarket. It's not super cheap either. It's actually owned by a French company, and they've totally refused to leave Russia, even though they've had a ton of pressure on them from their own government and from activists to pull out of Russia. There's been some rumors about selling to a local buyer, but as of now, it's still French owned. So as a foreign owned supermarket, let's see if I can find anything on the list. So the first thing I found in Ashan from my list is Ariel laundry detergent. This get your clothes nice and clean. Ariel is originally a British brand. It's actually owned now by Procter & Gamble, who are American, but Ariel is a classic British brand, and you can see here 1.3 litres for 750 rubles, so that's about £6. And it's not just the liquid versions. Over here you have all your different powder versions of Ariel. Actually, there's quite a big collection of different types. And then across the way you have your, what you call these, like gel pod things you put in your washing machine. Here you can find some, so 20 different ones for 900 rubles. That's what, £7 here. So this is the first British brand we found here in Ashan. So here's another item from my list, some Bell's Whiskey. Obviously originally Scottish. It's now owned by a company called Diageo, which are based in London. You can see this one's made for the Russian market because it's got the original Russian language on the background. But yeah, still on sale here in Russia. It says on the back, distilled and blended in Scotland. And you can buy a litre of this stuff here in Ashan for 1,800 rubles, which is what, about £15 nowadays. And it's side by side with lots of other alcohol, also plenty of it from the UK. And if you want some good old British protection, they're also selling it here in Ashan. This is a classic 12-pack of Durex, a very British brand, for 850 rubles. That's what, £7 or so to keep you disease and child free. Next up is this shop here, Azbuka Vkusa, or the Alphabet of Taste. This shop is considerably more expensive than Ashan, but they're all over Moscow, so you couldn't really call it a specialist or unique type of store. It's just quite an expensive supermarket. And actually pre-war, this was a place you could come to find all sorts of foreign items that weren't available in a standard supermarket. So I'm sure today in 2024 I'll be able to get my hands on some of the things on the list, if for a marked up price. So let's go and have a look.
This is Whisper, a favourite from my childhood. This used to be popular in Russia quite some time ago, in the early 2000s if I understand correctly, but then it totally disappeared from the shelves. It's a Cadbury product, which of course is a famous British brand, although the parent company is now Mondelez, which is actually American. But here it is in 2024 in Russia, on sale. So this is Scotland's most famous drink, Iron Brew, available here in Russia. It's made by AG Bar, which is still located in Scotland. It's still a Scottish made drink, and you can buy it here in Azbukov here in central Moscow. I found another item from my list, Newcastle Brown Ale, a classic British beer from Newcastle, of course. It's their most famous brand after their football team. It's now made by Heineken, and you can buy it in Moscow in 2024 in this supermarket. Clearly I can't go to a supermarket to buy a car, but I can go here. This is right in the center of the city, and a street called Tretykovsky Proyezd, and here they have a Bentley store. This is the best of British here on sale in the center of Moscow. If you have a look through the windows of the showroom, you can see all the famous types of Bentley cars which you can buy today in Moscow. The next item I found on my list was in here. This is Tsum, the most exclusive department store in the whole of Russia, here right in the center of the city, just a stone's throw away from the Kremlin. And of course the item I found in here, or the brand I found in here on the second floor, was Alexander McQueen. Alexander McQueen, obviously the British fashion designer. He is now dead, but the brand continues without him, and the clothes are still on sale here in Moscow in 2024. Just another item that you can still get British made here in Russia.
So there's just 3 items left. That's Yorkshire tea, McVitie's digestive biscuits, and Coleman's mustards. Unfortunately, I looked in a ton of different shops and I couldn't actually find any of them here. But of course, this is 2024 and most of my shopping is now online. So I thought, why not see if I can find them on the internet? And for the sake of realism, I wanted to find something that would deliver preferably tomorrow or at a maximum within a week, so that I know I wasn't ordering anything from directly from the UK and have to wait forever for it to arrive. And it was quite successful. On Ashan, which is an online marketplace similar to Amazon, I found Yorkshire tea, including one option that was a box of 40 tea bags for 1,200 Russian rubles, so just less than £10, and it has next day delivery, which is even better. I also found McVitie's digestive biscuits. One merchant was actually selling a 6-pack for 2,500 rubles, so around 20 quid, and actually coming direct from Turkey, which is a very popular spot for parallel imports to Russia at the moment. And 5 days of delivery isn't too bad, I suppose. And unfortunately, I couldn't find anywhere actually selling Coleman's mustard. There were some bigger wholesale sites which can take weeks and you can buy a whole box full of Coleman's, but nothing really sensible. So I'm going to call that the only failure of this experiment. However, I did find some French's mustard, which I suppose is a decent substitute if you want an American version rather than a British version. It's definitely not as good, but that is one possibility.
So that's all for today. If you're interested in knowing what other British brands are available here in Russia, drop them in the comments below and I'll see if I can find them in Moscow. So that's all.